believe we are live. Let me know if you can see and hear everything. I've got a little bit of a different setup today. So, yeah, drop a comment in the chat while we're letting people roll in. This is an atypical time and format for me. So, a lot of people. Also, I noticed the notification for this was sent to my spam because I get the same notification that you guys get if you're a Patreon member. Obviously, this is a free for anyone that's a subscriber and wants to watch. But I noticed that the notification for this stream for Patreon was sent to the spam on my personal inbox, and it's typically not the case. So hopefully, people got the notification. And if they didn't, if they log into YouTube, they should see this anyway. But hello, everybody. Let's let people roll in, and we will just kind of have a chill Saturday morning for you guys. It's technically almost Sunday here because it's almost midnight. We are 15 minutes from midnight um, on Saturday evening here. And we've got about a dozen people already here. And in the chat, we've got Ben Allen. What's up, man? Cool. Yeah, if you've got the app, then you should be set. I don't get my own notifications through the app, just through email. So I don't know how that looks on your end, but I'm glad that it's showing up. And you guys can see and hear me all right. Toby, what's up, man? It looks like everybody in the chat is in the UK. It might still be a little bit too early in the US. I know a lot of people party on Friday nights or sleep in on Saturdays, but I did start it a little bit later than I typically do. Typically start my streams. No street cred. What's up, Jason? 20 minutes to 4 p.m. there. Okay, so it's not even Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon for you guys in the UK. We've got Michael Gimbel. Yo, what's up? Necro Icon, greetings from Argentina. What's up, man? I like the Space Ghost avatar there. I can actually see your little profile avatars, and I can read clearly because I'm wearing my recently acquired prescription reading glasses. As you may or may not know, if you're a regular viewer of my live streams, I often have trouble reading the chat and other small print, and then I often lose my reading glasses. So I got some nice new ones that I keep handy right next to me. So yeah, all right, cool. We're getting close to 20 people in the chat watching right now. We got Ziporian, what's up? DB Fanhito, nice to see you. Good morning / good evening. And yes, like I said, it is about a little less than 15 minutes to midnight here, Saturday evening in Tokyo. And rather than doing my typical Sunday live stream claim sale, which I've been doing pretty consistently for the last couple months, I wanted to try a little different format and style of doing things this time. And I'm also still trying to get everything kind of centered the way that I want it. I think that's good. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any problems with the picture or sound, and also let me unplug my phone so it doesn't overheat while I'm streaming like it did last time. So, if you're new to the channel, hello, my name is Jeremy. This is my channel, Tokyo Toy Bonsai, formerly Tokyo Toy Bastard, but that's also the handle that you can find me on Instagram, which I didn't post that in the description. Uh, but I am a American expat that's been living in Tokyo for the over the last 20 years. I moved here in 2005. Originally worked as a manga assistant for the legendary manga creator Tetsuo Hara, creator of Fist of the North Star. I recently saw that the musician Thundercat was visiting him and getting some illustrations done. I tried to hit up Thundercat, but I don't think he cares about me. Anyway, Thundercat the musician, not the not Lion-O up there. And I have been also after leaving the assistant job, I worked for there. I worked there for 2 years, and then I became a teacher, which was kind of by accident. I didn't move here intending to be a teacher. That just kind of how it happened. And then I spent the last decade or more as a full-time teacher. Technically an English teacher, but I was teaching at international schools, and I still do teach semi part time. Um, and I teach elementary school students. I used to teach a lot more kindergarten, international level, but it wasn't. It was like teaching the actual class, not teaching English. Although obviously English was part of it was the main part of the curriculum. But I teach everything from science and social studies to writing. We even do creative writing classes and journal writing, even in kindergarten. We do not give them an easy time in kindergarten here. But yeah, a couple years ago, I started having some major health issues related to my nervous system. I was diagnosed with a nervous system dysfunction that caused me a bunch of different problems. So I had to stop working for the rest of that year. I went back home to Kentucky for a while to see my family, brought my kids with me and my wife, and we kind of just had a chill time over the holidays. I healed up pretty good, actually. I lost weight back then. I gained a lot of weight back. Had a great year last year, and then this year, everything has just fallen back apart. So I'll do a quick update on. I think most of you guys know what's going on, but I'll do a quick update on that, and I can answer questions if you want. But I want to just kind of use today as a just a fun, free hangout time where we can discuss life and toys and movies, whatever. I've got some stuff that I'm going to be posting for sale tomorrow that I can do some previews of some of the cooler items that I have to kind of tantalize you to make sure that you tune in for that. And if you're not already a Patreon member, all of my claim sales are only for Patreon members. So if you see something that you like that I showcase, or if you like what I do, feel free to click the link in the description or in the chat, and that'll take you to my Patreon. You can see all the previous sales. You can see some of the other bonus videos and lots of extra content that I post there. And yeah. So anyway, back to the current health problems. So earlier this month, well, a couple months ago, I got really bad flu, and that's how the previous illness started with the nervous system dysfunction. It started with me catching pneumonia while in Hong Kong, and lost a bunch of weight. Then that basically just triggered my nervous system into overdrive, and it caused all kinds of complications. Even after I'd gotten over the flu, or after I'd gotten over the pneumonia, this time I had influenza type B, which is the worst type of flu, and I've had the flu. It's probably been about a decade, but it was bad. But bounced back pretty fast. This time it took a while for me to bounce back, and I noticed I started having all kinds of problems with like gas and intestine type stuff, and I noticed that I was losing weight, but I just thought that that was I'd already lost some weight a couple years ago. I gained a little bit of it back, but I thought because I had the flu, that's why, I wasn't eating as much and I just dropped the weight. But even after I had gotten back on my feet and I was eating fairly regularly, I just kept losing weight. And now I am down to very, very minimal weight. Like if you can see my arm, I mean, I'm always a skinny bastard, but I'm not going to take my shirt off for you. But if you're one of the lucky few that has seen me with my shirt off recently, no, I'm just kidding. Um, I'm pretty much a skeleton now, so I'm trying to work on getting my weight back. And apparently, all of these recent things are due to thyroid problems. So if you're not familiar with your thyroid gland, it's located in your throat, and it regulates a lot of your hormone balance and things. And currently, mine is hyperactive, so it's causing my metabolism to just skyrocket, which means anything that I eat just like comes right back out. At least it comes out the correct way, not back out my mouth. But it also has started to cause lots more gastral problems. So I get these sensations where my whole body just fills up with gas, and then it like causes like a reflux, and then it gets stuck in my throat, and then I feel like I'm choking, and it's not fun. And then on top of that, I've got a tumor in my left side of my thyroid, which I have to get a biopsy for on Thursday. So hopefully, once they sort that out, some of the stuff will go away. But I have been taking thyroid medication, and that has helped a lot. But I had another flare up today. I went to, so I'm not working currently. I'm taking the rest of, I took the rest of this month and next month off to just kind of rest my body and immune system. And also, I had face surgery. If you can see here and here. I know it's pretty minimal looking. I've got it covered up. If I take it off, it's really gross. It's just stitches on both sides. But I had some face cancer, which was fortunately removed a couple days ago. But I've been taking antibiotics, for the surgery so that these do not get infected, and the antibiotics have completely messed up my gut biome, which I had nice and smooth as of last week. I wasn't having any problems with the gas and the throat stuff. I mean the it's called globus sensation. It's fucking terrible. But yeah, I was able to keep that under control. But as soon as I started taking the antibiotics, it all just flared back up. So luckily, antibiotics are done, and face is healing nicely. These stitches come out in a little less than 2 weeks, and my thyroid biopsy's on Thursday. So wish me luck on that. And with that out of the way, so that everyone kind of knows what's been going on, I'm just trying to keep my mind off of all that stuff. I'm glad to have the face surgery over. I was really worried about the one close to my eye because, they have to cut these out. And I'm not sedated. They just do local anesthesia. So that's never fun, especially when I'm already having like anxiety and panic attacks from this other stuff I've got going on. But um, yeah, I went to my son's undokai, the sports day. It's like field day, but they do that throughout junior high, and they have it in high school, but I don't think parents are typically invited to the high school stuff. Um, yeah, at least that's the case that I've noticed. But I went to that this morning, and another thing with the hyperthyroidism symptoms is that it makes you really sensitive to heat. So it was basically uh, blazing hot this morning, and there was zero cloud cover. So I was in the heat for about an hour, and I just started feeling dizzy. I had to go home. So I luckily I got to watch a couple of his events, my son's events, but I had to go home and rest. I started feeling better immediately after I got home and cooled down, ate some food. But then as soon as I took my final dose of and antibiotics, everything just went crazy. So I kind of a rough afternoon. Still got a little bit of that feeling going on in my throat. It's not as bad as it was. I played some Super Mario Brothers 3D World with my kids. That helped me take my mind off of things because this gets worse with anxiety. So doing things like this instead of sitting in this room alone by myself, having you guys to talk to really helps me tremendously. So I'm very thankful to have this channel for that. Even though YouTube has demonetized it, I'm not here to ask for super chats because I can't get those anymore. But if you'd like to support what I do, the links are in the description and in the chat. So without further ado, let's see who else is in the chat since we started. And we got like comments disappearing, popping back up. What's going on here? We've got Hair Billy, Hair Billy. Hello, what's your favorite tokusatsu movie or series? Do you even like some strange stuff that people consider them bad? Favorite tokusatsu movies and series? I mean, obviously, it would be Godzilla's my first favorite. Godzilla 1985, aka Godzilla 84, Return of Godzilla, was like the first mind blowing experience for me as a kid. My uncle rented it on VHS. I actually have a copy of the Japanese VHS in the next room. I'm not going to go grab that. Some of my favorite toys, which I pulled down in the last live stream and I knocked a bunch of stuff over, so I'm not going to pull that down. But yeah, Godzilla 85 kicked off my Godzilla love, and I was fascinated with Godzilla. Was really, really sad that I couldn't see the first couple Heisei movies after that, the Godzilla versus Biollante, Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, because I saw them in a book when I was in my elementary school book fair. I forget it was an English book, but they had a picture from both of those movies, I believe, because it was around the time that Godzilla versus King Ghidorah came out, the 1991 movie, and I couldn't see those. So I'd only seen I'd borrowed some VHS tapes from my friend Jill. Her brother had an extensive Showa Godzilla VHS collection, so I borrowed all of those. I watched some of the episodes on Mystery Science Theater 3000. But yeah, it wasn't until like college that I actually got, or after college that I got to watch the rest of the Godzilla movies. So yeah, Godzilla, number one. Number two is definitely Gamera, and I surprisingly don't have any Godzilla tattoos, but I do have a Gamera tattoo here from the third Gamera film. So Gamera, I would say Gamera is probably tied with Godzilla, but Godzilla is just maybe a little higher. The Gamera trilogy from the 90s is one of my all-time favorites. Zerum, I'm not as fond of the sequel. I know that one of you guys in the chat recently watched it. Let me know what you thought. It's cool, but it's not as good as the first one in my opinion. And the prequel anime Iria is also very good. That's not a tokusatsu technically. Um, and I also love Ultraman, and I've watched Ultraman, Ultra 7, a little bit of Return of Ultraman. I really want to watch Ultraman Taro. I haven't yet. And I've been watching Ultraman 80 with my son. We've got a little past halfway through that. I really liked I think Ultraman 80 might be my favorite, especially the first dozen episodes or so. The middle, it's kind of gotten boring. But yeah, it's about a school. The Ultraman is a school teacher, so I could relate, and the characters are junior high school students, which my son could relate to. So we've both been relating to that show. But then there's like in the middle, it's like all based in space and stuff for a while, and it's kind of boring. Yeah, I like the school drama and comedy they've got going on in that show. All right. So hopefully that answers your question. Again, I'm not a huge tokusatsu guy. Like I know I've done a lot of videos on tokusatsu stuff. I live in Japan. I collect a lot of tokusatsu stuff, but that's not like my primary. Oh, another favorite tokusatsu franchise. Sorry, Daimajin. I love Daimajin. That's not like my primary focus. Like I know some Godzilla and tokusatsu collectors. That's all they really care about or watch or collect. But yeah, I'm kind of everywhere. But it's always fun to learn about stuff, and that's what makes it also fun to not know everything and to learn as I go. I hope that answered your question. Yeah, and I mean a lot of the tokusatsu is considered bad. Even 90% of the Godzilla movies are not great movies. They're just fun. Uh, Toby asked, "Do you think this kids at school keep you interested in the new toys? Or are they not into toys anymore?" Good question. So I don't teach kindergarten anymore. I teach older elementary school kids just a few times a week. But when I was teaching kindergarten up until 2 years ago, we would do show and tell, and the students would bring in their toys. And there was kids. There were you could definitely tell like some parents just let their kids have iPads and didn't really buy them toys. Some kids only got educational toys, and some kids got action figures. The kids that got action figures were very passionate about them. There was one kid in particular that would bring his in. Um, his name was Haruki. I won't say his last name, but this is a few years back. But he would always bring in really cool toys and show me. And there was always like transforming, complicated things that I usually don't mess with. But he would always show me how they work. And yeah, so that kind of like got me into some of the toys that he was into, and I learned more about those. And Beyblades are also huge. We even do a whole lesson in the afternoon classes about the history of Beyblades. We have Beyblade tournaments, not every year, but every so often we do that in my school. So yeah, it was fun to play with Beyblades with them. But yes, like the younger kids here, if you're not aware, like if you go into a toy shop now, or in the last 10 years, pretty much the toys for at least for the boys' side, you've got like your Bandai aisle, and it's just Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Ultraman. And more recently, since my -1 has gotten popular, there's been more Godzilla stuff. For a while, there was not much anything in the Godzilla sections until Shin Godzilla came out, and then it kind of disappeared. And then -1 came out, and then now there's huge Godzilla sections. But it's mainly just like the little Bandai movie monsters, series figures. Movie monsters and hero series. Like this is the basic, you know, 3 points of articulation or two, and the kaiju. Like that's pretty much what they've got. And there are some new series of toys that have more of an action figure type feature, but I find most of the designs and the modern tokusatsu, Kamen Rider. There are some Kamen Rider I've liked, but the new Super Sentai stuff and the latest reboot of the Metal Heroes saga, like they're all so bland and plain, and the robots look like ass. So I mean, I don't see many kids picking those up. The shelves are always completely full of them. I know Super Sentai had to kind of just die off so that they could do the new rebooted Metal Heroes. I don't know how well the sales are going for Bandai on those things. And of course, the tourists are there's tourists here everywhere in Tokyo now, and because of that, Godzilla and Ultraman too, but more Godzilla has more sales of those have just picked up. And there's just so many Bandai movie monsters everywhere now. They're like in every store has Bandai movie monsters these days. I don't know if that answered your question, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the topic. But yeah, it doesn't seem like as many kids, unless their parents are getting them into toys, um, don't typically care as much. I'm sure it's the same in most other countries. I do occasionally like to donate toys to the school that I work at, and, the kids, because when they come in for daycare after school, they do play with the toys, and I try to bring some cool, Kaiju or Ultraman or Godzilla stuff along with some other action figures, some like Marvel and Mario. But, most kids are just smashing them in together and and end up getting into fights over things or getting a little too rough, but at least they're playing with the toys, so that's all that matters to me. Let's see here. We also have Chris, what's up? And Blue Planet. Thank you very much for the warm wishes, and I appreciate all the warm wishes I've been getting over the past week or so regarding my health. So thank you very much. And if you're just tuned in and you want to know what's going on with my health, I explain all that during the first 5 or 10 minutes of the stream. So we're not going to talk any more about that today. And Chris asks, "What's the coolest backstory for a kaiju in your opinion?" Coolest backstory for a kaiju? I don't know. Actually, you know what? So if you're a Patreon member already, I will pull out a few choice items that I will have for sale tomorrow. And I think I'm going to do the sale tomorrow pre-recorded rather than the live stream format. And the reason is I've been having trouble, and I'm sure you guys have too, if you've been making claims. When I do the live streams, the comments are like not exactly in order as they always used to be in order, but they've been kind of weird recently. But one thing I'm going to have up for grabs is this. And if you haven't been able to visit any of the Marusan pop-ups or any of the special events where they've been uh, visiting around the world, I have one of their kaiju encyclopedia. And the cool thing about this is it's all of the original uh, Marusan kaiju, and it has all of their backstories in English. So if you want to get some weird, interesting backstories for various kaiju, this book right here has painted artwork with all of their names and backstory and some other stuff in here. So this will be up for grabs tomorrow. It's even got one of the stamps inside. You can collect stamps, but that's a stamp from an event that I got this at. But I have a couple of these books, so I'm letting one go to one lucky member. Otherwise, there's different backstory. Like Godzilla doesn't have one singular backstory. There's a few different branches of his backstory. Same with Gamera, but I think I like Gamera's backstory the most. He was, well, at least the '90s version. He was at least partially created by the Atlanteans, and he basically rises out of the ocean. He looks like an atoll, like an island, and so it's later on that they figure out what he is. But yeah, I like that. And he was created to fight the Gyaos that were, destroying the Earth. I like his backstory. Um, and Toby said Zayrum 2. Yeah, Toby was the one who was watching Zayrum 2, I believe. Zayrum 2 definitely not as good as the first one. Monster design not as creepy, but I love the weird face thing in his head chest. Worth a watch though. Yes. Zayrum 1 is one of my all-time favorites. Oh, by the way, something else I have up for grabs for tomorrow's sale, member sale. I have this original Japanese movie theater gift bag, and you have Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare on the back. Born 1984, died 1992. That's Forever Freddy. I don't know if that's even the right catchphrase. That didn't make sense, but it's got the Japanese logo and stuff down there. But on the back, actually, this is the front actually. On the main side, you have the Zayrum poster printed. This was sold in the theater when Zayrum was in theaters promoting in 1992. Look at that. Super cool. This will be available to members tomorrow in the sale. So this is something I've only ever seen one of. It's been in my private collection. I'm just downsizing since I'm taking time off of work and selling some of my personal collection along with some things that I found on my hunting travels. Let's see here. Blue Planet says, I'm a fan of Shigeru Mizuki and Gege no Kitaro. Have you any cool toys based on his work or yokai in general? I occasionally do have some of the Kitaro and other various yokai toys. I've had some of the mini Sofubi, and I often get some of the Keshi. I did see some really cool. The last time I was out in Nakano, I saw some really cool Gege no Kitaro play sets, like the little houses and like graveyard and haunted mansions and stuff. I've had some of those for sale in the past. They've gotten a little bit more expensive, but there are some that are like smaller in boxes, and then there's larger deluxe size ones. Those are pretty cool. I don't think I have any here on hand for this sale tomorrow, but yeah, I do have them at least once or twice a month. I have some Gege no Kitaro, and I have some unrelated yokai stuff too. Let's see. But yeah, I have been to so Shigeru, not Shigeru, Shigeru Mizuki's hometown, or at least the town where I guess his manga place is. I'm not super familiar, but it's not far from where I live, and it's just about a 15-minute train ride. And I've been there before, and they've got is it Chofu, I believe, and that it's also where Kadokawa Dae movie studio is. So the station has silhouettes of Gamera and Gyaos, and you can go outside and walk to the Dae Kadokawa studio. I did shoot a short video. I think I may have posted it at the Patreon a couple years back. I need to go back there and shoot it again. They have these big Daimajin statues in the front. They've got Gamera props in the gift shop. And then in the station, when I went, they had a replica of one of the miniatures from Rodin. That was the main reason I went there to shoot with Norman and Jean-Luc. And sorry, forgive me. Occasionally, my throat gets a little bit uncomfortable, so I have to drink some water. Which is why I'll probably keep the stream to an hour. Just I have to kind of rest my throat. Um, but what was I gonna say? They had a Shigeru Mizuki like area in the town hall, and you could see some original art and stuff, and I think a statue that was pretty cool. Thank you very much. BJK Manga says, hope you're feeling well. Doing much better at the moment than I was a bit earlier today. Thank you very much. Mo Hussein. Hey Jeremy, sorry to hear about your health. Thank you very much. Yes, I am hopefully on the mend. Yeah, hopefully just the face surgery and the antibiotics kind of kicked my butt the last couple days, but I think I'm coming back out of that, and I just gotta worry about the throat tumor, my thyroid tumor biopsy. So fingers crossed that goes well on Thursday, so I can go see Masters of the Universe on Friday, opening day after my son gets out of school. But yeah, this is why I'm also not teaching currently, because I have to constantly talk with a very loud voice when I'm talking to groups of students, and obviously they're not always behaving, so I have to speak much more loudly and um, make sure that they're listening or get them to calm down. So right now, the last time I tried to teach a class, I had a bit of a panic attack and my throat closed up. So yeah, as much as I might seem normal-ish in public, not always the case. And as I mentioned before, I have lost a lot of weight. I was about 80 to 85 kilograms uh, I think at the start of this year because I'd gained a lot of my weight back. And then I have dropped down to about 64, 65 kilograms. And if you're wondering what that is in pounds, that's like going from close to 200 pounds down to about 150 pounds. So not healthy, especially with me because I'm 6'4". I'm not a small man, so I just look like a giant gangly skeleton walking around. But still in the safe zone. I just if I drop any more than this, not good. Is that an Alf puppet behind you? Yes, it is. I have a few different Alf items. Yeah, you're talking about this one right here, right? Yeah. I actually found that out in a not too long ago during a walk in Shin Koenji, which is a fun little fashionable town with lots of little boutique shops and lots of little like vintage American and Japanese uh, clothing shops, but they also have like toys and knickknacks. But there was a shop that had a bunch of American vintage stuff from my childhood, and these were, I believe, Burger King uh, dolls that you could buy, little hand puppets. But yeah, I just got him, and he's got the baseball. I played baseball when I was a kid too, so he's got a connection. I've also got some Alf slippers. I've got an Alf little head keychain, and some other little miniature Alf stuff. I love Alf. But when we went back to the U.S., I was because I don't really we don't even I don't even use cable here. I don't watch TV at all in Japan. My wife and daughter watch a little bit of the variety shows and music shows, so I do see it The TV's like right behind where the camera is. So when they're one of our TV in this room anyway, when they're watching it, I see kind of what's going on the TV. But when I was in the States, I wanted to watch the shows that I kind of remember watching before I moved back here. Like I was like, I want to watch Pawn Stars, I want to watch American Pickers, or I want to watch Adult Swim or whatever. But I was so confused by the way the channels worked. But I saw that there was an ALF channel. It was just 24/7 ALF. So that's pretty much all I watched the last time I visited the US. It was, yeah, it's comfort food for sure. Let's see. Toby says my nephews are now 19 and 20, but they have started recollecting Skylanders, which was a computer game thing with cool figures. Yeah, I remember hearing about Skylanders, but I don't know anything about it. Yeah, that explains a few things in the comments. And we got Andrew P 8406. Hi Jeremy, greetings from Toronto. What's up? I have a lot of friends in that area. I have really enjoyed your toy hunting videos with your posse of interesting friends. Thank you. I wish you and your family all the best. I appreciate it. I do hopefully want to do some more toy hunting friends with do some more toy hunting friends. Do some more toy hunting videos with my friends. It's just been harder to do in Tokyo. It's just been so overcrowded with tourists. No offense to the tourists. Um, a lot of my members and channel subscribers have been visiting the last couple of years, and I've done my best to try to meet up with the ones when they are here, when I have time, when I'm feeling well. So it's been nice to meet a lot of you guys in person and do some toy hunting. It's just there was also a bit of it's not as much now, I don't think, but there was a period the last couple of years where live streamers and nuisance streamers were like, it's still a problem, but if you were trying to film in public and you were a foreigner, like you would get shut down real fast. And that wasn't the case like during the pandemic. I was able to film pretty much everything because there was no one around. The staff were like, they would know that I'm not a tourist because tourists weren't allowed in the country at the time. And I know most of the, at least, at least they know my face in most of the shops if I don't already know them personally. But I don't want to show the same shops over and over again. And then I did the flea market video a little over a year ago, and that flea market has now just become 99% tourists. Most of the people shopping there are not even Japanese, and the good stuff that used to be there is pretty picked over. So I don't even want to do a video there anymore. So I've been kind of just finding little secret honey holes here in the west side of Tokyo, out further towards the countryside. So if you see me posting pictures on my Instagram where it's just like fields of green and no buildings, that's kind of where I've been looking more recently. So a lot of the stuff that I have for sale on my Patreon is, uh, me finding stuff in those kinds of areas on foot, carrying it back home. And it's just very peaceful and relaxing too. Just getting to get out into, like, you've got the mountains in the background, you got trees and grass. It's quiet. But I do still go to Nakano Broadway, but it's very different now. You go to Nakano and you come out the gate. There's always been tourists there, but now when you come out the gate, it's like 75-80% of the people around the station are non-Japanese, like white people. And talking about their sex life and all kinds of shit, and it's not what I want to walk into. I want to go out to the countryside and have some peace and quiet, and still hunt for some toys. Um, yeah, I went on a tangent there, but yeah, I do want to film some more videos, but I don't want to. Yeah, that's what I was going to get to. I don't want to blow up the honey holes that I found, even though they're not like secrets by any means. People that come here do kind of search the places, uh, even outside of Tokyo. So I just don't want to make those even more attractive than they already are. But of course, if you're a Patreon member and you fly out here and you're able to meet me, I will definitely take you to those kinds of places. I just don't want to, I don't want to ruin them. But I definitely will be hanging out with Jean Luc again soon, potentially tomorrow, and filming some of his goofy ass maybe, and Norman as well. I want to get both their goofy asses on the channel. I know you guys love those guys. Ken as well. Ken has been busy making his own Sotheby. If you haven't seen his own original Sotheby that he sells through the company that helps him make them, but also they're like exclusives through Nope and also through events that they have. Um, Stada Cut. which actually I have back here. I'll show it to you. I have the first edition. So it's obviously based on Jabba the Hutt, but it's not exactly. And it's all hand sculpted, hand painted by Ken. The eyes are actually resin pieces, so those can be popped out and moved around. But you've got little secret things here, like these are the twins from The Shining. They're pulling his eyes open, which is a reference to Eyes Wide, not Eyes Wide Shut. Clockwork Orange. He's even got orange eyes. What else is hidden here? There's like a hidden Mickey on here somewhere, which is like a Disneyland thing. You've also got the crashed Volkswagen from the beginning of The Shining, and then you've got the Shining carpet. So I mean, it's not really a Star Wars toy. It's pretty cool. I love it, and it came with a little miniature TV, which I've got back there. I'm not going to grab that at the moment, but he's done like half a dozen color variants already. Oh, speaking of color variants, um, my original Sofubi Shoki. Here are the first two versions that I put out of these guys last year, and these two colorways sold out. And I had a lot of people asking me about the flesh color one that I have, which it looks more orange on camera, but this is like a Keshi flesh colored one. This is the test shot, so there's only one of these, and it's the one I'm keeping. But because I had a lot of people asking for more bright colors, and a lot of people were liking the light orange, I did order a like vibrant neon orange color, maybe similar to this Tokyo Tower here. Yeah, maybe a little bit lighter than that. So those will be coming in soon. I might do like a pre-order for those on Patreon. So if you guys are interested in a Shoki that'll have the clear head and orange body, let me know. But I'll probably make an official post so that I can make sure that Patreon members get first dibs on those, and then I will post whatever I have left on Instagram for non-members. But I have a whole video about this guy if you want to learn more about him. It's the video that's pinned to the top of my YouTube channel. Those are designed by me, sculpted by Ken, who also sculpted the style that caught there. All right, need to get back to the comments here. Yes, Gamera is the GOAT. What's the Goku Super Saiyan on the shelf behind you? I've never seen it online. Ah, this one? This is a quite rare bootleg. I can't remember if this was Taiwan or Thailand. I've got it. I've got the box. I actually found the box a couple days ago, and I was cleaning the storage room next door. You can see it's got a screw in the back, and it's a bootleg of the Super Collection soft vinyl Bandai toy from 1991 or 92, which I have buried in another showcase over there. But it's literally the same size as that, but it's a completely different sculpt. That was a Sofubi. This is an action figure, and it's a very brittle injection molded plastic, and I fell in love with his face, and I had to have it. So yeah, I believe this was acquired through some help. So yeah, it must have been Taiwan. I had a Taiwanese acquaintance that's helped me get some of the harder to find Dragon Ball bootlegs. For a period, I was collecting tons of Dragon Ball Z bootlegs, and I still have most of those. But yeah, that's one of my favorites. So that's why he's on my desk over here. Could tilt this a little bit more so you guys can see some more stuff on the desk. I don't know. Let's see. Back to the chat. Yeah, the movie bag would be a nice piece, huh? Let's see. Blue Planet says I found the studio at the end of my trip to Japan last year. Okay, cool. Oh, glad you found it. That's awesome. And thank you very much, Groove Heart, for the powerful wishes. Yes, I have the power. Let's since we're having the power here, let's talk about some of these recently acquired He-Man toys. Which, oh God, He-Man, don't fall down. I know we're not talking about American toys right now, but we are for a minute. So if it wasn't for He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, I don't know where I'd be right now, because He-Man, which originally I thought it was the Flying Fist He-Man, but now that I've gone back into the memory hole, um, I I'm fairly certain the very first action figure that I ever remember receiving, I have a very vivid memory of it, was from my aunt when I lived in the very first house that my parents ever had. I can't remember if it was right when my brother was born or right when my mom was pregnant with him, but I would have been probably 4 years old. And yeah, I got Thunder Punch He-Man mint on card from my aunt, and I just loved the smell of that toy. Opened it up. It had caps in the back. Probably too young to play with caps, but hey, it was the 80s. Later, I did get the Flying Fist He-Man. I don't think I ever actually had. I don't remember having the regular He-Man when I was a kid. I had Flying Fist and Thunder Punch. I had a bunch of the enemies. I did a little segment on um, Slime House and Retro Slacker, I believe. Did segments about my childhood Christmas gifts and things like that. But the Thunder Punch He-Man wasn't a Christmas gift. It was just like a gift from my aunt. I was the only child from my entire family at that point. I was the first kid born, so I got a lot of toys from family members. But yeah, that's kicked off my love of action figures and toys. And I played with them at the sandbox in the back. I played with him in the sandbox across the street at my other friend's house, and I stole his superpower Superman, and later returned it. That's another story. So I consider that the second action figure memory was stealing superpower Superman from my neighbor, feeling guilty, and later returning it to him and apologizing. Again, I was like 4. But yeah, but I've been super excited for the new Masters of the Universe movie coming out. I remember being a bit disappointed by the live action version when I was a kid because it was so different, and I actually got I recently reacquired that on Japanese Blu-ray because I own this, and I either gave it to a friend, or when I got sick a couple years ago, I sold off like tons of my Master of the Universe toys, tons of my American toys, all of my super rare Japanese toys like my Maru-san and Bullmark stuff. That all went out the door because I could get the most money for it because I was out of work for a year, and I was getting some insurance money, but it was not much. So yeah, I'm glad that I did though, because this one came with this awesome little card featuring the original, I guess, Japanese poster promo, Chirashi. So I'd never seen that before. So the version that I had did not have that included. It's got a little booklet in Japanese, which is that's not that interesting. But I'm excited to watch this with my kids. There's the disc. Just so they can compare it to the new one, because I've heard nothing but great things about the new one. And I'm glad, and I'm a huge fan of the Bumblebee movie. I'm not a Transformers fan. I tried to watch the Transformers movies. I kind of enjoyed the first or second one, but they were stupid. Michael Bay schlock. Hate the Michael Bay Turtles movies. Hate's a strong word. I very much dislike them. But Bumblebee came out. I ignored it because I was already sick of the Transformers stuff. But I later on, my son got a little bit into it through Beast Wars, which is my least favorite. And then he convinced me to watch some of the movies, and then I bought Bumblebee, watched it with him, and that was easily the best Transformers movie ever made. So that's Bumblebee sitting over there, and now my son has a significant Bumblebee collection based on that movie. Great movie, but the director of that is the one that's doing the new Master of the Universe movie. And he also has a background as an animator. So he was the director for Tubo and the Two Keys, which won an Academy Award, I believe, for animation. So he's not just like some stupid, fucktard like the people that they hired to make the Marvel movies often. Um, anyway, it just looks great, and I'm glad that they went more of a tongue-in-cheek, campy comedy type of a vibe with what they're going for, with also the emotion and stuff. But anyway, so one of the first figures I had to get was the classic retro style Origins He-Man based on the movie, although it looks a lot more like Arnold Schwarzenegger than it does the actor Nicholas Galitzine. And I've got the new Battle Cat. This is the electronic one. Yeah, I like it a lot. Me and my son have been enjoying these. Oh God, He-Man! Been enjoying them very much. I've been sharing lots of pictures, as you probably have noticed. Probably getting sick of that stuff. But then today in the mail, I got Skeletor. He's from a different line, so he's a little bit smaller. He's not as bulky, but he's really cool. My son was drooling over this figure. Really cool. Not a big Jared Leto fan, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about his version of Skeletor. This is probably one of the coolest toys that they put out, though. This was a Mattel Creations exclusive, Beast Man, and you have to get it on their website. That's the only place you can get it. All of the Origins ones are kind of stupid. They've made like 4 of them Target exclusives, and I think there's a couple that are Walmart exclusives, and this one's only Mattel Creation exclusives. Ridiculous, but I had to get it. Pretty cool. I love the fur. So yeah, I'm hoping everything goes okay with my throat biopsy so that I can still enjoy the movie the next day. But yeah, just that anticipation, playing with these toys, getting back into the He-Man stuff has kind of brought me back to my childhood, before I discovered Godzilla and all that goodness. And yeah, just kind of it's been reveling in that this past week or two. All right, I've missed a bunch of comments here. Uh, do you know how Kyonsei? I know it's even on the Japanese marketing, it's spelled Kyoncy, but that's not how I would that's not how I would spell it. It's Kyonshi, which is Jiangxi in Chinese. It's not, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correct, but it's the hopping Chinese vampires. And they were popularized in Japan, as far as I know, by the movie Mr. Vampire, which has, what's it called, like Reagan something something here. I have the Blu-ray also next door, and that and the second one. The second one I think was even more popular because It's set in the 80s, not in ancient China, or not ancient China, but I think the first one's set in a couple hundred years ago, whereas the second one's set in like late 80s Hong Kong, and it's like got those things like jumping around on cars and stuff. Beautiful movie. Those got really popular along the same time as Jackie Chan movies were like Jackie Chan was a teen idol here. Like he had his own magazines for like teen idols. Like Jackie Chan, in the U.S., hardly anyone knew who Jackie Chan was until Rumble in the Bronx came out. But in Japan, he was a icon, which is why they even teamed up with Japanese companies and shot several movies here with Jackie Chan in the 80s. I even have I might have taken it down, but I had a video on his movie where he dresses like a Raleigh and fights in a haunted house at Fuji-Q Highland. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, there you go. And then I am Jack Thursby asks, who is my favorite Ultra monster that is less known or popular? You know what? Since I've been watching Ultraman 80, some of those monsters are pretty awful. But and I was looking for it the other day and I found it, and you know what? I think I've already moved it. Damn. So I think my new favorite kaiju, like design wise, is probably his name is Noizra, and he's got kind of Destroyer vibes, but he's from he was designed in like 1979, debuted in 1980. One episode of Ultraman. There is a Poppy toy of him. Hold on, I'll go get the magazine because I can show you that toy. Be right back. Okay, forgive my pajama pants if you saw that. That's my storage room where I keep all the Patreon member boxes, my son's collection, and a bunch of other shit that I've been working to clean up this month. Done a pretty good job so far, but I've just got too much stuff, so definitely downsizing the stuff that I do have. So yeah, this Figaro magazine, I had a half a dozen copies of these for sale, all sold out. There are some more at the local shop if they're still there. So if you didn't get one, let me know if you're a Patreon member. But it has an encyclopedia of the Great Saurus Poppy vintage toys and some of the reissues as well. But Noisla is in here, and I desperately want to find him. But the last listing I think I saw him was like Kuma yen, I think, which is like getting close to the grand. And there he is, this guy right here. I might be wrong about that price, but a lot of these more obscure ones are getting really pricey. But even your standard, more common Popey stuff is hundreds of dollars now. where it used to be able to you used to be able to find some of this stuff. Like I used to be able to find the Ultraman stuff for like nothing. And the jumbos were like the jumbo Ultramans were $20, $30 max. Now they're all $100, $200. Um, and that's like loose, scratched up kind of stuff. But those are the times. Mm-mm-mm. Thank you very much, Jack. Let's see what else we got here. Mario White, what's up? Hi, Jeremy. Just wishing you back to being healthy. Love your videos. Thank you very much. Really, guys. Really, really, guys. I appreciate the not just the health stuff, but the feedback on enjoying the content because I don't make as much content as I used to, and even these live streams I don't often think like, oh god, no one really cares about these kinds of things. But from you guys, from what I hear from you guys enjoy the streams and you enjoy what content I do put out. So I'm very appreciative of that. Andrew P. Amazing how quickly times have changed. Yeah, I saw one of your videos where you and John Luke went to a local outdoor toy market. Looked really fun. Yes. Yeah, you like the Piece by Ken? Yeah, I mean the flea market's still fun. It's just very, very, very crowded and it's lots of foreigners there. So the sellers are counting on you not knowing what things are, so they're pricing things higher and you can't make as many good deals as you used to be able to, but there are still some things there. And not I mean most of the people there have no idea what vintage toys to look for. They're there for mostly fashion and Pokemon shit. So, there's still stuff to be found. No disrespect to Pokemon, by the way. I have mad respect for Pokemon. I used to hate on it a lot. Mad respect. I just the whole card thing is fucking ridiculous. So yeah. But as a whole, the concept, the history, all good. Let's see. We've got Andrew P's got a couple more comments here. Love to visit Japan one of these days. Yeah, post 9/11. Yeah, I've never been here post. I mean, I've only been here post 9/11. My first trip to Japan was 2003, and then I moved here in 2005. And that's when I started working at the Fist of the North Star manga studio. It was so different back then, though. I was pretty much the only foreign person, let alone working in the manga industry at that time. Like just in the block of where I would be walking around. Now it's like you know it's it's very multicultural, and the way I kind of see it is big. I'm a big. I gotta drink some water. Hold on. I'm a big Cowboy Bebop fan. Tokyo very much has more of a Cowboy Bebop vibe to it now, which that's cool. There's a lot more multicultural stuff going on, but all within the Tokyo vibe. So it's cool to see. As long as everyone's cool to each other, I'm cool with the people here. It's usually the fucking white gaijin tourists that are being fucking assholes and doing stuff for online clout. Not always, You've also got Johnny Salami, fucking retard. Anyway, Johnny Somali, in case I said his name improperly on purpose. And Toby asks, "Is that a Jiban 2-pack on the wall?" Why, yes, it is. It's Jiban and the head of Biolone, the evil biogenetics corporation, another white guy, evil white guy with a flat top and sunglasses. Oh no, I dropped a push pin on the floor. I don't want to have a Home Alone uh, ordeal happen later. Well, if I suddenly shriek, it's because I stepped on a push pin. I gotta find that before my wife comes up here in the morning. Usually I sleep in a little bit. She takes over the desk space. All right. Oh, we got Every Single Muscle. What's up, man? Thank you very much. I've also been enjoying your content, and you've been putting out a lot of stuff recently. If you guys haven't checked out Every Single Muscle, he mainly focuses on the Kinnikuman stuff, but also he's been doing Battle Beasts and other stuff. So really cool channel. Definitely subscribe if you haven't subscribed to that one already, guys. If you're a Keshi collector or mini figure collector, especially the Japanese stuff. Groove Heart. Oh yeah, you're talking about the Masters of the Universe. Yeah, I mean, the '87 He-Man movie is, in hindsight, it's a fun, goofy B movie, but and if when you know the history, like the production and all that stuff, it's so fascinating. And not, if you're not familiar, like it had a pretty big budget for Canon Films produced it, and they also produced was it Superman 3? Was it Superman 3? Or was it 4 or 5? One of the later Superman sequels, and then the Sylvester Stallone movie, um, the arm wrestling one. What's the name? Over the Top. But I think they gave the biggest budget to Masters of the Universe because that up until that point, the Masters of the Universe toy lines were like selling like gangbusters. So they were hoping it was going to do well, and then Mattel was investing in it, hoping that it would boost sales because sales had started to decline like the year before the movie came out. So like all the pre-production and stuff, they put a lot of money and love into that. It's some amazing sets and costumes, although they went in a more realistic direction or more fantasy, non Funimation, or sorry, not Funimation, God, Funimation, Filmation, the cartoon. They kind of stayed away from those designs and went more of a realistic fantasy vibe, which I love all the designs in the movie. The sets are amazing. Then they ran out of budget, and the producers basically had to can the film while they were still shooting the finale. So the finale, they had to kind of shoot uh, like frantically, without letting the production know, the producers know, um, which is why it's such a terrible ending to that movie. The fight scene is awful, but yeah, once you know the history of all that, it you can understandably go back and enjoy it a lot more. Anyway, what else we got here? Yeah, Gwildor. Gwildor's a little guy. Yeah, I still haven't watched Deathstalker. Like I think you'd asked me about that before. I'm waiting to watch Deathstalker with a group of friends, um, and have an experience. Because so far, every time I've watched Steven Kostansky, the director, I have a couple of his other movies right here. Little shameless plug. One of my all-time favorite movies, Psycho Gorman, which I helped produce a soft vinyl version of right here through RX Nemesis, sculpted by Ken, who also sculpted my Sofubi. But yeah, this is the Japanese version of Psycho Gorman. Love this movie. If you've never seen this, do yourself a favor. If you like tokusatsu, people asking to like obscure tokusatsu that maybe people don't know about. If you don't know about this movie, or if you've never seen it and you like tokusatsu and you like stuff like comedy and 90s and 80s movies, check this out. It's not from 90s or 80s, but easily could have been. And then his other recent movie before Deathstalker, Frankie Frico. This movie is insane. But I saw Psycho Gorman on its by myself the first time, and it didn't. I mean, I loved it. It didn't hit as hard as it did when I watched it with a group of friends. When I watched it with a group of friends, it was so much of a uh, wild ride that the atmosphere with the friends just made the movie even better. So I think I've watched both of those movies 2 or 3 times with groups of friends, and it never gets tired. It never gets tiring to watch those. So I want to do that with Deathstalker, which is his latest film. But it's got the Deathstalker's an '80s B movie franchise that he's rebooted with a bigger budget than those movies. I think it was partially produced by Slash, the musician, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I did an interview with him too. That's still up on my Patreon. Hmm. I did an interview about PG too, which is still up on YouTube. Check those out if you haven't. Um, I scroll back down. Uh, 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 uh. What's up? G Blaster, what's up? Hey, like I said, this is not a sale. This is just a hangout session. So thanks for saying hello. I'm probably too late for you to see that, but if you rewatch it, have I been to Pachimon Summit? I have not. Also, Allison, I missed your comment. And oh, I missed a bunch of comments. I scrolled down and missed a bunch of comments. Hold on. Now it's not letting me scroll back up. Okay. Living Dead Vitamin. Okay, we've got BJK Manga asks, "What's my favorite Jackie Chan movie?" My favorite Jackie Chan movie probably changes depending on my mood, but I'd say Police Story is probably my all-time favorite Jackie Chan movie. So much so that I went to Hong Kong 2 years ago and I visited some of the shooting locations and I took some pictures with my. I don't have the figure anymore. I used to have a realistic, like Hot Toy style Jackie Chan figure. I got rid of all my realistic type figures like that, except for I do have one. Well, I have a vintage Playmates Worf from Star Trek and I believe a Slave Leia, but those are all from the '90s. But yeah, any of the modern like realistic stuff I got rid of. But I had the Jackie Chan Police Story doll, uh, made by a Chinese company, but it's in the hot toy style. But I went to the mall where they shot the finale. I went up to the escalator to the top where he jumps from, and yeah, it was fun. Yeah, Police Story. I also love Police Story 2. That's got some great sequences in it as well. I think I have almost every Jackie Chan movie next door. I'm a big kung fu movie buff as well. Before I got heavily back into tokusatsu, before I moved here, I was actually no, yeah, I was really into Hong Kong movies. When then I moved here, I learned more about tokusatsu, mainly just Godzilla and Gamera. But then when I moved back to the states, I started heavily collecting Hong Kong re-releases on Blu-ray. So I have gotten rid of it, but I've gotten a lot of it back, the Japanese versions and a lot of Arrow and some of the other independent companies making the 4K versions, like a bunch of the Shaw Brothers movies. Here's some here that I've got. I'm waiting to show these to my son. This one's got four of my. Well, Dirty Ho is not bad. It's not one of my favorites though. But Heroes of the East, which is it's a Chinese guy. He's got a Japanese girlfriend, and they're like showing each other who's best. It's great. Um, Challenge of the Masters is good. I haven't watched that one in a while. Executioners from Shaolin is another top favorite of mine. That's the original Pai Mei. If you've ever seen Kill Bill, you have the guy with the wispy beard. This is that character, Pai Mei. But actually, the guy that plays Pai Mei uh, in Kill Bill, Gordon Liu, he plays the hero in that movie. So he grows up to become Pai Mei in Kill Bill, but he fights the original Pai Mei. And actually, there's two versions. They did a remake of this. Um, I can't remember if he's the hero in this version. They did a reboot of it, and then he's the hero in that one. I'm kind of confused at the moment. I think that might be the first version there, but since his face is on that next to it, it confused me. But speaking of Gordon Liu, this is probably my all-time favorite kung fu movie. This is Eight Diagram Pole Fighter. If you've never seen this movie, Jesus Christ, this movie is insane. This the finale of this movie is the most batshit thing I've ever seen in my life. That's all I'm gonna say. Eight Diagram Pole Fighter, and the Arrow release is definitely the best way to watch it if you have access to these. Um, I don't want to spoil anything. Just it's the craziest thing I ever saw in my life when I saw it. And don't let the opening deter you from finishing the movie. The opening's got a very I don't know, it's like a big matte painting wall and the static shot, but let the story progress is amazing. The finale's worth it. One of the main actors died during the middle of shooting, so the way that they start the movie and the way that the movie finishes are very different. So it's got a kind of different vibe towards the end. Yeah, because one of the actors died, I believe, in a car accident, which is unfortunate. So they had to switch to the story to that actor, Gordon Liu. Yeah. Again, I used to be a huge Hong Kong buff. I mean, I still am. I haven't run these things in my memory in a long time. Let's see here. We got sorry, yeah, that was a long way to say my favorite Jackie Chan movie, and then we're still talking. We're talking about Hong Kong movies. So Allison, looking forward to watching some of the Chinese vampire movies. Yeah, definitely check them out. The very first Chinese vampire movie that at least popularized it in Hong Kong was that predates Mr. Vampire is a movie by Sammo Hung, who is the fat guy that's Jackie Chan's brother. The three brothers, Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and Yun Biao. They all went to the same Chinese opera school, and they're often featured in the same movies together. But Sammo Hung, who also appears in Enter the Dragon, he's like the chubby guy that Bruce Lee fights at the beginning. He's directed a bunch of movies, but he's acts in a lot of movies. Typically, he does like two kinds of movies. He does like super serious, gritty movies, and he does comedy movies. And occasionally he'll mix them, and it doesn't. I don't know. The tones just kind of don't work for me. But his movie Spooky Encounters, which also is called Spooky Encounters of the Third Kind. And I think it has one other alternate title. Um, I also posted a video of that, and that kind of introduced that genre, I think, to a more popular audience before Mr. Vampire. That's probably my favorite actually. But yeah, check that one out first if you haven't seen it. It's kind of like it's like Evil Dead, but with the Chinese vampires. It's totally that vibe. I wouldn't be surprised if Evil Dead actually didn't steal a couple bits from that because it predates Evil Dead by a year, and I know that Sam Raimi was watching Hong Kong movies at the time. Yes, Spooky Encounters is so good. Uh, some we got a bunch of hunky boys in the chat. Not my chunky boys. That's funny. Hey, I'm glad I could introduce you to PG Zerum and all that stuff. I'm happy to hear it. Awesome. Police Story. Project A is also good. Project A2, which is also that's the weird, because Project A is actually Project A2 in the US, and Project A2, I think Operation Condor is Project A1 because they released them backwards in the United States at least. Uh, anyway, not my chunky boys. I'm gonna have to use that. I don't. My son used to be a little chunky. I can't say that anymore though. I'm gonna find a good use for that. I'm gonna steal the chunky boys. If you guys are wondering, that's a quote from Psycho Gorman. Not my hunky boys. I don't want to ruin it. Watch Psycho Gorman. You'll understand where that comes from. Tura T3K says, Jeremy, have you been to Wonder Festival and walked past Ama Pro? I have. I actually do. I avoid Wonderfest. It's way too much chaos and people and long lines. And the only experience I've had with it is even before it was like, so many tourists here, it was still almost impossible to get the stuff that I wanted to get. So I would pay friends that had access to it to pick up some stuff for me in the past, but even that was stressful for them and I had to pay extra. So I just altogether avoid Wonderfest. I might eventually get a table there or something, but I prefer the smaller events. Like Superfest is big, but that's about as big as I go. There's some other smaller events that I go to, like Amazing Shotengai. One is coming up this following weekend, which I should hopefully be attending. Norman's usually got a table there. Usually Ken's got a table there. It's a much smaller venue and a lot less selection, but it's a lot of vintage stuff and some of the indie software makers. But yeah, I'm very familiar with Ama Pro. I used to have one of their. I kind of regrettably sold it. I had one of their Third Eye King Caesar Sotheby. It's actually still my icon on my Japanese social media app line. But was there a question with that? It was just have I walked by and saw them? We got so many comments here. Okay, it was Superman 5. Thank you for answering that question earlier. If I missed a question, feel free to send it again. But yeah, I've seen Ama Pro set up before. Superfest too, like you get a lot of the people that set up at Wonderfest are set up there. I am Jack Thursby asked, have any toys survived your childhood? Yes, actually. I will grab I think I have there's at least one that I can grab. There's only a handful, like two or three that I can confirm from my childhood that I kept with me and I've brought to Japan. Be right back. Although it's late in my childhood, it's like early to mid teens maybe. Knocking over a bunch of stuff. So I'm sure, like most of you guys, my parents had a lot of yard sales, garage sales. I lived on a farm, and so we would have these massive yard sales on the farm, and a lot of people would turn up. Um, but I do remember all my Masters of the Universe toys being sold in those, and me not caring at the time because I had moved on past that. You know, this is after the movie had come out. I was more into Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters, and of course, a lot of those got sold too. My mom did keep a bunch of my Ghostbusters and Ninja Turtles, so some of the Ghostbusters and Ninja Turtles I have in my collection are from my childhood, but I can't confirm which one specifically because I've over the years I've kind of like upgraded some and I've added accessories that some didn't have, so I don't know which ones of those for sure. I think one for sure is a Ray stance. I don't know. Was it Ray? Was it Ray or Peter? It's either Ray or Peter Fright feature. One or two of those are from my childhood collection. But one that I have easy access to from a little bit later. This would have been in 99, 1999, 2000, around that time when I was 17, 16, 17. I bought this at a Toys R Us. This is Tapion or Tapion. He is from the final Dragon Ball Z movie before, Dragon Ball ended and then GT and Super and all that stuff came out. But yeah, this was like one of my favorite movies at the time, animated movies. I was just learning about anime, and Dragon Ball Z was like all I cared about, and I loved the design of Tapion and his brother. I have his little brother Minosha who gets killed by a giant kaiju, and so he plays this little ocarina to make the giant kaiju disappear back into its dimension. And he's obviously very heavily, RPG inspired. If you didn't know, Toriyama Akira also designed like 99% of Dragon Quest. So he's got the Dragon Quest Zelda vibes. I was never a big RPG guy, but I always loved the visuals and the music and watching my friend James, who lived with me and my family for a while. He would play all those games. I just watched him play them, but I love the designs. But yeah, one of my only surviving childhood toys, although technically teenage toys. I also have a mint on card one in the back, and these were actually never sold in Japan. These were from AB Toys, a French company, and they imported them to the U.S. through Irwin Toys. So yeah. All right. Thank you for the question. All right, I need to scroll back up. I'm getting a lot of questions and comments, and they're all flying by. Tura T3K, Jeremy, do you have an 8mm Toku or Kaiju reel? No, I don't. I do have a collection of VHS. Not a huge collection, but I do have, I don't know, a dozen or so of my favorite tokusatsu VHS, um, and some other random things on VHS. I don't find VHS a lot anymore. There was a period right after I moved here when I didn't really care. Where I would, if you went to a book off in some of the areas here, they would just have huge VHS sections. All the VHSs were like 100 yen, like $1. And I was picking up the Disney ones for my kids back then. And I still had my old, I still have it back here. I have an old tube TV that has a VHS and DVD player when the DVD players were new, like built into it. And so my kids watched a lot of Disney movies and stuff like that because I could get them for $1. Um, but yeah, I wasn't buying a lot of the tokusatsu stuff back then. But yeah, I have a fair amount of VHS, but nothing like Mark here in the chat, Mark Zilla. He's got a pretty insane Japanese VHS collection. But I think he got in on that a little bit earlier. It's a lot harder to find that stuff now. All right. Sorry, and get still people talking about encounters of the spooky kind. Grabbed any cool gachapon lately? I'm always grabbing gachapon, but I don't typically do the machines anymore because there's so many gachapon, and 90% of it is trash. 90% of it is like little acrylic pictures of things on keychains. So I don't waste my time. I can typically go to there's some specialty shops that'll sell like entire sets. If I can, I try to go to those places because people request like some of the Toho stuff, the Godzilla Gachapon or some of the Dragon Ball stuff, and I'll try to go buy them from those shops so I can just get a whole set. But then me and my son also collect those, so a lot of times, you know, I'll get they only have one of those available, so it's harder for me to get those. But anytime I go to The junk thrift shops, they'll have bins full of gachapon toys that people have gotten doubles of, and so I typically get them from there because it's a little bit cheaper for me, and that way I can make a little bit of money back when I sell them. So I actually have a $10 box. I haven't done a $10 sale in a while, but occasionally I'll do these crazy $10 sales where you can get everything for $10, and I'll usually put, if it's a really cool rare gachapon, it's like $10, or if it's I'll put two of them together for $10, or if you buy three, you get $5 off. So I literally have a box like this big, just huge box filled up about that high, just full of mostly gachapon toys. But as far as any recent ones, I haven't really done any recent ones. I'm trying to think if I have anything on hand. No, I have some vintage stuff. Oh yeah, these are kind of cool. You were asking about yokai. Someone was asking about yokai earlier. There's a yokai series. I'll have these for sale tomorrow. I've only got one set left. I think I had a bunch of these and they're all gone, but this is the only set I have left. But it's got the yokai, the kasa yokai, the umbrella, and it's lights up. And there's also a little ghost, and there's a spirit flame, graveyard spirit flame. Yeah, I'll be selling these. If you guys are curious about things I'll have for my sit in the sale tomorrow, I can show you some more preview stuff. But oh yeah, I will have some more Microman, some more Kroyers. I've also got this big. This is probably the coolest thing I found recently locally. This big Tetsujin. It's big, but not too big. It'll fit in a box. Uh, it's hard to see. I think when I record the sale, I'll have a bit more light on it, but it's not black. It's actually a dark blue with like a metallic little, very very minimal metallic glitter on it. But Tetsujin 28, really cool. He'll be up for grabs. Got some Godzilla stuff up for grabs tomorrow. Um, I've got a lot of Gamera stuff actually. Uh, I'm not even going to show it right now. I'm going to want to dig it out, but I have probably, I don't know, half a dozen or more like really cool Gamera items. Half of those are Sofubi. The other half are really cool gimmick toys. Yeah, so I'll have that. Uh, let's see. Yeah, there's way too many people in Wonderfest. DB Fanhito, you have been struggling with your health issues and understand my situation. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you're doing okay too. Oh man, that's awful. Well, I'm also praying for your recovery as well. So get well soon. Anyone that's watching that's not feeling great, please get well soon. Um, and I appreciate the wishes towards myself as well. Thank you. Hello, Arumi. Allison's talking to Mark. Okay, I'll skip that one. Blasphemous Dreadnought. Did you enjoy the newer Microman they released in the 2000s? Yeah, you know what? At first, I didn't really like those, but there's so many different ones in that line. There's the ones based on the anime, and those are more like Diaclone-ish. They have the magnetic parts. I like those. Those have grown on me over time. But yeah, then the ones you're talking about, some of those I like, some of them a little less. I like the Godzilla Gamera ones where those guys go inside the little rubber kaiju suits. Um, yeah, there's some cool stuff. I like some of the Micro Sisters actually too. There's one that's like a commando that looks kind of like she's got a big missile launcher that's all back metal chrome. Uh, yeah, those are cool. And then I know Super 7 has redone the Micronauts recently. I have the Robot Man, aka Biotron, which is great. It's amazing. Um, it's better than the vintage Takara mini Robot Man, which was so fragile. Like if you drop it, it just shatter. The legs shatter. They're very durable. The only thing I would say is that the standard time travelers that Super Sevens put out, they're way more durable, but they have these weird like short, bulky arms. Like the forearms are too short and the wrists are too wide. I can see that they did it to keep them from cracking and breaking, like the Palisades tried to do Micronauts that were pretty much identical to the Takara ones, but the plastic was so brittle they break so easily. And even some of the Takarari shoes break pretty easily. Just depends on which one, which run. Okay. Yeah, Tapion. He's got Warhammer Dwarf style, Dwarf Slayer hair. That's cool. My friends, yeah, my friends back home, James and my brother, got into Warhammer and Mage Knight when I was in high school. But my friend from the channel, Jean Luc, he's pretty big into Warhammer. He plays every weekend, or at least he used to. Arcade Broke. Making sure I didn't miss any other comments. Arcade Broke says, "Hope all everything." Hey, hope all hopes. I am dyslexic. Forgive me. Hey, all hope everyone's good. In the past year plus, been dealing with a lot of health issues. Hospital visit myself. Yeah, man. Seems like everyone's been having it rough this year. Well, I wish you the best as well. The best as well, man. Again, I don't repeat myself, but anyone watching, if you guys have been dealing with health stuff, I'm with you. I totally understand, and hope all of you guys get better this year. Rest, I do stress that rest, and don't overdoing it, not overdoing anything. If you think you've got to take time off, you know money is never worth your health. Even if you struggle with the money part, to take time off, it's better than the alternative. You know what I mean? If you have that option. But yeah, rest, sleep, rest. I'm off of caffeine. I also recommend that if you're dealing with health stuff, stay off the caffeine for a while. That's helped tremendously. Trying to sleep as much as you can. Taking walks during, when it's sunny but not hot. That helps a lot. Sunshine also makes a lot of difference for some reason, but not too much because you'll end up with skin cancer like I did. I'm also like the whitest person in Japan, so I'm showing the undersides of my arms because even today, I think I tried to get a little bit of sun on them when I was at my son's field day. The sun just cooks them and bounces off, and then my skin just shrivels up and peels off, and then it goes straight back to being as white as possible. Game Master Zone from Barcelona, Spain. Hello. We got a lot of people. We got a lot of people all over the world watching today. That's very nice to hear. Andrew, what's the last creative project I worked on? Other than the last two videos I've done, I did the Dragon Ball Z, not Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball in general, Dragon Ball World Record Holder, Guinness World Record Holder video. That was a lot of fun with my friend Uchida-san, aka Heen-san. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. That was my last video. That video and the Ghost in the Shell museum video walkthrough that I did, those two videos have blown up. They've done better than pretty much 99% of my other videos, with the exception of the Goto video and the flea market video. But unfortunately, I'm demonetized, so I make no money from YouTube. I want to emphasize that. If you would like to support what I do, help me make more stuff, make more content, please consider supporting me on Patreon. That's the only way I can make any money from any of this stuff. And I do a lot of Japanese toy sales there every week. So it's a bonus perk on top of supporting the channel. But to answer your question, outside of the art, outside of the editing, um, Shoki was last year. I did design some new heads for Shoki, but right now, because of the oil crisis and all that, it's really expensive for me to produce new stuff. So I did mention earlier in the stream that I did order some new bodies. So I'm gonna have some new orange bodies that will be more like this color, orange. They'll have the clear heads and a different kind of aerofoil inside, probably like a goldish yellow aerofoil. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I like to mess around with them for a little bit, and I'll have some other little one-offs and things with the glow in the dark heads and whatnot. I do still have some of the glow in the dark, the what did I call them? The ghost. I forget. Glow in the ghost. It's like the glow in the dark body with the clear head. And yeah, I've got those, and I think I might have one or two of the marbled glow in the dark ones available too. So yeah, just people are wondering how to get them. All you gotta do is DM me on Instagram. If you've missed like all the previous sales, just DM me on Instagram, and anytime I have something left over, I'll let you know. But otherwise, all of the first dibs on my stuff goes through Patreon. Otherwise, yeah, I've done just some designing stuff and some editing. No major since I've been sick this year. I haven't done anything major recently outside of those videos. But yeah, I've got stuff planned. I've had a big project that's more of a business idea that I've had mulling around in my head for the last few years. And I did mention a little bit of that to someone else that may be interested in helping with that. But yeah, um, I don't want to say any more about that right now. So if that comes into fruition, I will start to talk more about it. But it'll be something more that will be available to people here in Japan if it does turn into something. But if it does work out, I would love to document that process. And you don't know what I'm talking about, but if it works out and it happens, I will document it. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. A lot of those Hong Kong movies we were talking about are on Internet Archive, and a lot of them are even on YouTube. At least some of the clips and stuff are. What's the rarest sotheby I have? Oh, rarest sotheby I have. Well, like I said, I sold about 2 years ago when I got sick the first time. I sold off a lot of my rarest stuff. The rarest one I have is probably the test shot for my own soft vinyl toy because there's only one of one, but I don't think that counts, right? You know what? I don't know. Oh, I hit my knee. I don't really know. I don't think I mean I do have some pretty much any modern Marusan stuff is like they produce like 30 or less a lot of the times depending on what it is. So I have some of those kind of things. Most modern software is going to be less than 100. So I don't know. I don't really view anything as like what's the rarest software I have anymore. I am more aware of like the rarest Dragon Ball stuff I have because that's kind of been harder for me to track down. I did find. I'll show you two rare things that I found yesterday. Oh my god! I'm just every time I get something down here. Okay, this is not something I found yesterday, but this is one of the rarer software that I have. This is Cashman, and I'm keeping this Toriyama heavy today. Cashman was a kind of gag manga character created by Akira Toriyama, for V Jump. I think when V Jump was a new, was a breakaway from Shonen Jump. Uh, and he is a man. Gosh, I forgot his backstory. But anyway, they did a promotional. I think two different soft vinyl toys, but they're pretty tough to get. But yeah, I found three of these in my past 20 years. The first one I found was like not in good condition. The second one I found was in very good condition, but I think I sold that when I got sick. So I found this again. It doesn't sound like it's rare, but these are pretty hard to come by. But I just grabbed it because it was next to these. But I found these yesterday during a countryside thrift, and I posted it on my Instagram. I know a lot of you guys are more into the kaiju stuff. I'll pull out some kaiju too. Give me a second. So these are two of the rarest Dragon Ball Z Keshi. So it's Super Goku. So it's Goku in Saiyan armor with his powered up buff muscles, which I think he only does it once or twice. And Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. And these were some of the later Dragon Ball Z Keshi from the Cell Saga. And I don't know what the deal was with these two, but these two are highly sought after and rare. I have a bunch of other Keshi from Dragon Ball Z from the same era that are worth a few bucks, $5. Some of them 10, 15, but these are worth about $100+ a piece each. Yeah, but I found them yesterday. They were randomly stuck in a section of Pokemon cards. Like they weren't even in the Dragon Ball section. I don't know why, but yeah, they were not like they weren't like $1 a piece or something. They were still they were still a little bit more than I would typically pay for a single Keshi. But knowing that I knew what these were, and they were selling them for much. They were selling them for like a quarter of their value. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna not be able to sleep if I don't grab these. So I grabbed them, and I've been after these for a while. If you watch my Dragon Ball Guinness World Record video, uh, Uchida-san has all of the different color variants of this. I'm not even sure if he had the Gohan. The Gohan's pretty tough, but yeah. Let me see if I have any rare kaiju Safabi. Like I said, I sold off most of that stuff. Oh my god, I'm just making a mess. I'm just gonna pull off this one. No, that's not that rare. Man, I don't know. I feel like any of the really rare stuff that I have over there, if I try to take it down, it's just going to destroy everything on the shelf. So we'll hold off on that today. Uh, yeah, but again, all the really rare stuff I've sold off. Uh, Kaiju Softby wise, I do have a lot of like I do collect test shots and things like that. I showed some of those off last time. Like here's I just so I don't have to go grab anything else. Here's a test shot that I have on my desk. This is Treebeard from Lord of the Rings, and this is a test shot for a series of cake decoration minifigures. And the cake decoration minifigure sets are already pretty rare, especially the set with Treebeard. But there was a guy that was buying up test shots and prototypes from obscure toy makers back in the late 90s and early 2000s, and he acquired a couple of Treebeards. I gifted another one that's a slightly different color. The final versions are fully painted and stuff, but yeah, you can see he's got purple leg joints. I gifted one to Ken because he's a big Treebeard fan, but myself included, I love Ents and Treebeard, so I had to get a little Treebeard. I recently introduced the Lord of the Rings series to my family. My wife, I think, tried to watch it with me. I had the VHS. I had a double VHS set of Fellowship of the Ring in Japanese when I first moved here. I tried to watch it with my wife. I don't think she made it to the second tape. She's not a big movie watcher, and fantasy is definitely not her element. But my daughter's really into that kind of stuff, and my son appreciates it. So I got the 4K version because we have a big 4K TV downstairs that I bought last year, and we watched the extended versions. I don't know. I kind of wish I would have showed them the regular version of Fellowship of the Ring because there's not a whole lot in that that's that important. I think other than the gifts that Galadriel gives to each of the hobbits that kind of comes into play later. But otherwise, I think the theatrical cut is a better movie for the Fellowship of the Ring. But there's so much cut out of Two Towers and Return of the King that are important that I was like, they've got to watch the extended cut. So anyway, my wife included, both of my kids, we made it through all of Fellowship of the Ring extended, and then we made it through all of Two Towers last week. So we are going to dive into Return of the King probably next week after my thyroid surgery's finished, and I go see He-Man on Friday with my son and a couple friends, hopefully, that are interested in joining. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Return of the King is great, especially the extended version. If you've never seen it, the demise of Saruman. I can't believe they didn't put that in the theatrical version. I'm a big nerd, is all I'm trying to say. If you couldn't tell from the glasses and all the fucking toys. Let's see. What is the oldest toy I have in my collection? Oh wait, I've got some other questions here. Someone asked me why I was demonetized. That's a long story. I posted like kind of the whole debacle on Instagram, my Instagram stories. Basically, a couple months ago, YouTube's AI bot algorithm went through all the channels, and if you had uploaded, um, if you basically, if a large majority of your videos had clips from copyrighted music, or you showed clips from movies, which I've done multiple times, especially my older videos, no matter what content, like if the rest of your content, your popular content is, all non, like all my recent stuff is all non-copyright, other than like as a kind of FU to YouTube, I used all copyrighted music for my Dragon Ball Guinness record video because at that point they demonetized me already. So I was like, oh, fuck it. I'll just use Dragon Ball music. But I used a bunch of obscure Dragon Ball music that maybe a lot of Americans aren't familiar with because you guys have the different soundtrack typically, unless you're watching the Japanese version. Anyway, so yeah, and then I appealed that. I took down a bunch of videos that were, main offenders. But yeah, they're kind of just going through my older content and saying, yeah, they basically even said your channel is repeating too much of other people's content and has no value. And I was like, fuck you, YouTube. Yeah, YouTube watching your AI bot listening to me right now. I'm not talking to the viewers. AI bot on YouTube. Fuck you. Anyway. And again, not against AI in the overall scheme of things, but in this case where you can't appeal something and talk to a human, or and the same thing goes with people using AI to just create just bullshit art and stuff. Like I've used some AI on for filters on photographs and things I've taken, and and people are like, oh, you used AI. I'm like, no, that's a thing. I just use it. It's a filter. Like all Photoshop filters are technically the same thing. But anyway, so now I've just kind of stopped using almost any of that stuff. So all of the stuff I post now is pretty raw. Just I don't want to get into all that shit. Um, but there are uses for it. But I think the creative side is definitely shouldn't be used in a lot of aspects of it. But when you want to talk to someone and you're being demonetized, it's not like I make a lot of money anyway. And it's all through AI bots. It's so frustrating. Yes, and more show keys on the way. Okay, so wish you all the best. What is your so this is from Echo Cortez. Thank you. And top 5 Marusan in my collection. Well, like I said, I sold my original 1966 Marusan Godzilla, which I did a lot of videos about that. I enjoyed the hell out of it while I had it in my possession over the years. But that was one of the main things that helped fund my trip to the US to be with my family last year, stateside. Sorry, the year before. But if I had to say now, of course, my own. I've done 3 collaborations with Marusan, so I'd have to include those in the top 5. Here, I'll take the camera over here. You know what? We'll take the camera over here for a minute. Ew. I probably should have just done this earlier. So here's another favorite, the Burning Godzilla by Marusan. Uh, this is the marbled Biollante Godzilla. I like these two a lot. My daughter hates this when she calls it a zucchini. She wants me to get rid of it. But yeah, this is my son and I love this one. But we were just talking about Marusan stuff. There's my King Ghidorah's collaboration. This blank unpainted glow in the dark Biollante is one of my favorites. M1 and Marusan did these Gameras. Love those as well. All of their 450 Jet Jaguars are my favorite. I have the glow in the dark one. I have the Tencel clear one. These are really tough because I think they only made a handful of these guys, and they did different variants with different eye colors. I used to have even more of those. I've also got this big like cafe latte colored 450 Mechagodzilla by Marusan. That's one of my favorites. I really prefer their modern stuff. I'm not as much into the vintage Marusan. It's not as colorful. I really like the colors. All right. Like I said, yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of my vintage stuff is gone. I still have some vintage Bullmark, just a couple, and I've been focusing more on Pulpy. So yeah, I should have showed you the Pulpy before I came back, but oh well. But what is the oldest toy I have in my collection? Yeah, it was probably the 66 Marusan Godzilla. Uh, until it got sold. Do I have any other 60s toys? I probably do. You know what? I'm not entirely sure because I have here. We'll go back over to the. We'll go back over here. Okay, follow me. So I've already made a mess. I opened this, try to get something out, and I dropped a bunch of stuff. But I killed the Ghostbusters grandma. She's dusty. I need to clean her up. So like here's some of my pulpy. This pulpy Godzilla is one of my favorites. So here's some Bullmark. And another favorite of mine, the 84 Marmot Godzilla. That's also a pretty tough one to find. Passion Tank Shin Godzilla is a favorite of mine. But they keep reissuing those. I don't think those are as tough and expensive as they used to be. Yeah, I really did I got rid of so much of my vintage stuff. I do have a vintage Bullmark Jet Jaguar up here too. That's a favorite of mine. A kid scribbled on his legs, unfortunately, and all over his back. Got his name. I love it though. I love it. Um, and some more Bullmark. You know what? I'm not sure. There's also a bootleg Marusan Ultraman up here, which I think this is from the 70s. I don't think this is from the 60s, but I could be wrong. But I typically am not focused on stuff from the 60s or 70s. I mostly collect 80s and 90s toys. So if you were like, what's the oldest Dragon Ball toy, or what's the oldest Godzilla toy, or what's the oldest Gamera toy, I could be like, oh, this one, this one, this one, this. But otherwise, I kind of don't know. I have toys that look like they're super old, like this Tetsugen 28. Looks like it's from the late 50s, but it's not. I love this though. This is a reissue of. This is like a really early Astro Boy Sotheby Bank. I think this was also from the late 50s or early 60s. But this is a reissue from the 90s. Because I would not be able to afford an original. I did do a video on the Mandarake Astro Boy auction. And you could see the starting bid prices for this guy, the original one, and a bunch of other ones. Not even going to try to compete in those auctions. Not a fan of auctions, to be honest. I like to find things in the wild and it be like, oh, cool. I don't like sitting on a computer and bidding on stuff. It takes the fun out of it for me. I don't mess with auctions at all, ever. I used to. Very frustrating. So gave it up. Cool. Peanut shell, or I guess that's how you say. I guess that's how you say your name. Peanut shell. Totally pumped to join this year and scoop up some lit Japanese stuff. Cool. Yeah. So if you guys do want to scoop up some cool Japanese stuff, join the Patreon. Like I said, I do sales once or twice a week, typically twice a week. When I'm not feeling well, once a week. But I will be having an epic sale tomorrow. So make sure you join. You have to be a paid member to join the sales. And how that works is I will start a box, like a box about this big, shoe size box, and I'll just fill it up with stuff that you claim. And then I take a picture of it first and send you the items, the total, and you can keep filling it up throughout the month, or until it's completely full throughout several months. But your membership fee basically allows you to have that box here. So uh, the fee itself buys you box space. You don't have to pay an extra fee on top of that. So it's honestly better than some of the third-party systems because you deal directly with me, and I've already got the toys in hand, and they goes directly in your box. You're not being shipped to a separate place and then charging you a fee on top of that, and then charging you a separate shipping fee. It's just one flat shipping fee after it's all in your box, and you get to choose. You get to see them. You get to see me talk about them like people do on Whatnot, but direct from Japan. And I kind of stopped, unless you request specifically, I kind of stopped going for the super expensive vintage Sotheby and the designer Sotheby stuff, unless it's like under $50, or occasionally I'll do stuff that's closer to the $100 range. Or if you want me to pick up something from a Marusan pop-up or Superfest, I'll do that too. I even do like kind of little Marusan pre-order things when they do the pop-ups here. But otherwise, times are tough for most people, and also boxes only have a certain amount of space. So I'm not really picking up $100 or $200 items for people unless they request it. So all the stuff I sell is typically $10 to $35, and occasionally some stuff in the $50 to $75 range. But yeah, that way you can fill up a box of stuff without, you know, having to spend a bucket of cash. Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of the members here can attest. I even shared one of the members' recent Dragon Ball haul on my Instagram story. So if you guys do receive a package from me, post what I've sent you and I will share it on Instagram so that everyone else can see all the awesome loot that I've helped you get. Let's see here. It's a huge story right now. The court. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh man, there's a lot of comments that I've not gone through. Sorry. I'm gonna try to speed through here. It's a huge. See, Brick Together says it's a huge story right now. The corporate employees took over a store that was selling a Star Wars Lego collection on consignment, valued around 200,000. Corporate claimed they owned the Lego. Never paid them and gave them back to the owner. Okay. Hmm. I don't mess with Legos. Oh, I mean, I do. I like Legos. I have a bunch of Legos, but I've never done like the franchise stuff. I just like to build stuff using my own imagination. Same thing with the kids. I've never really liked the aesthetics of Legos as like collectibles. I just like using them as something to play with. That sucks. Anyway, uh, don't you have something painted by Goto? Hey, what's up, OGD? Yes, I do. But actually, that was something that was sold during my first health crisis. So it went to one of the awesome Patreon members, which, I mean, for me, that's fine. Goto-san, if you guys aren't familiar, Goto-san is the legendary Japanese painter that's painted Sofubi for Maru-san, Bullmark since the 60s. But a lot of the modern Maru-san stuff that I have, like even the Maru Gacha, a lot of those were already painted by Goto-san. So I have probably several pieces painted by Goto-san, but that was one that I commissioned him privately. Although I wasn't too. I'm really OCD, and I was honored to have him paint it. But I also I'm like, okay, he is a person that paints for a living, so I wanted to direct. People are like, well, just let him do what you want. No, I wanted him to paint a certain way, and he kind of messed up the eyes because he's not very. He's doesn't have a steady hand. And that day, I was like, I kind of didn't want him to paint the eyes. I was like, I'll paint the eyes later, but he kind of messed up the eyes, and I went back and repainted them. So, anyway, there's a fun fact for you right there. But my friend Eddie, he visits him fairly often, and it seems like a lot of people have been visiting him and having things painted. So I don't feel as special anymore to have that one piece painted by him. Seems like a lot of people have been doing it. A lot of people kind of been abusing him, in my opinion. Not including Eddie. Eddie has been great to him, but I think there's a lot of people been flying over there and just kind of using Goto as a marketing ploy. Anyway, won't talk anymore about that right now. Um, let's see. What do I think? What do you think if Bolsagar didn't get lost? You mean the what? I don't. I mean, you're talking about the Korean kaiju movie. I'm not exactly sure what you're asking there. Big love from Vienna. How's it going in Vienna? Casgrove. Yes, I do have the big nerd energy. Uh, I've been keeping an eye out for good 4K deals recently. Okay, good. Oh yeah, by the way, I will have some physical media up tomorrow. Some international physical media. Uh, I've got some. I've been downsizing some of my Blu-ray collection. If you're not familiar, Blu-ray is the same format in Japan as it is in the U.S. and I guess North America. But if you have a Blu-ray player that can play Region A, it'll play, and it's got the English and Japanese. But I have several anime English format and Japanese that will play that I'm gonna have for sale tomorrow. Just downsizing some things, upgrading and downsizing. Uh, let's see. Okay, I was getting into the AI comments when I had the AI rant earlier. Allison says she called out a channel for using my content without credit. A channel was using content, my content? How dare they? Yeah. You know what? I used AI one time to do a thumbnail because I didn't make the thumbnail with AI. I made the thumbnail myself, but the image was so like um pixelated looking. I was like, can you just clean up this one part that because I already made the whole thing, it was all photographs. And it looked a little bit too uncanny valley. And I was so tired. I posted it, went to sleep, woke up the next day, and there were people like, oh, that's AI, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, it's it's an AI filter to make anyway. So I just redid the whole thing the next day. So I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not gonna do it anymore. And then I posted something recently on Instagram that I used a filter just to like make the shadow, because Instagram filters, Photoshop filters, they've been around for decades. All those things use AI tools, but it's not like you're putting the command like make the picture for me. It's a different thing. But anyway, that kind of shit I've just stopped doing too. I just don't want to. I don't want to have any people going off on that kind of stuff. Even for like filters on photographs, it's annoying. Do I have any signed items? Oh wait, I missed another one here. Hello from upstate New York. The Shoebox, huge Godzilla fan. Cool. What's up? I really want to visit New York City again. I haven't been there since 2001. I want to go hang out with Sucklord up in Chinatown. That's been a dream of mine, to visit New York again and hang out with Sucklord in Chinatown. If you've never seen my documentary about Sucklord's time in Tokyo, check it out. Uh, do I have any signed items or signatures? Yes. Actually, I've been gathering cool signatures for my son. Here, I'll show you guys some. I don't know if I can actually show you guys, but I'll show you some over here. So here's one, personalized to me, although my son's got one. So here is one from the director of Godzilla Minus One, Yamazaki. I got this from the one of the production designers. The guy who actually designed and sculpted Godzilla is a friend of mine. I have a video short where we were all together having lunch and he's signing my son's Godzilla toys, but he helped get that. Yamazaki was actually supposed to go with us to ride the Godzilla ride. That's where we all hung out that day. But this is before it blew up in the U.S. But he was busy and couldn't come. But my son's also got his own personalized version, although Yamazaki spelled his name wrong. Oh no, I just killed a Great Saiyan Man. That's my son's. And the router. Can't destroy the router. And then here is a commission that I got from last living, the last living main Godzilla suit actor. And yeah, I got it for Christmas. He was at one of these smaller, like he was at a small comic book event, just drawing Godzilla sketches. And I was like, hey, can you draw? He was the Millennium Godzilla for most of the movies. So I was like, can you do a Kiryu Gojira and Kiryu Mechagodzilla? And he was like, sure. And he mailed it out to me. But then later, I had him here. We'll go in here. I gotta be quiet though. I'll go in here. This is my son's collection. I also got him to draw some other stuff, and then my son won. Some of his stuff's hidden away. I also don't want to wake up anyone. Okay, hold on a second. So Norman, my friend Norman England, introduced me to him, and if you go back in my video catalog, I organized a special event with him and Marusan. So Marusan was selling Godzilla 2000 soft vinyl toys. So I was like, hey, I can get the suit actor that was in Godzilla 2000 to come. And he kept messing up his name when he was introducing him. I cut that out of my video, but that was kind of embarrassing. But anyway, they did a Junken rock, scissors, paper contest. And everyone in the crowd that attended the event, and this is the event that I helped set up with Marusan, uh, you could win artwork that he had drawn and his autographs and things. And my son ended up winning almost everything, and I have it. It's all documented. It was all like, it wasn't set up. He was doing rock scissors paper against all these random people, like from some other countries and some other Japanese people that we'd never met before. So all on camera. Check that out. I think it's called like it's like there's a picture of him and my son together, and I think it says something about rock scissors paper. But yeah, check that out. It's a fun video. A lot of people didn't watch that one, but he signed that for me. And I've also got this over here too. I'm not really big on signatures, so this is all mainly for my son. But this one is kind of for both of us. I'm friends with the director of Psycho Gorman, and he's been out to Japan a few times. And the last time he was out here, he brought me. I already have this special edition version of Psycho Gorman with this figure. I even have a test shot prototype, thanks to Toby in the chat, that he found in the UK of this figure. But he signed this version for me. Yeah, that's a cool little bit of my collection. But yeah, I'm not really big on signatures and stuff. I didn't even get a signature from Tetsuo Hara when I worked for him. Never got him to draw him anything. It's a shame. Should have. But yeah, that was just like work back then, so I didn't really think about it. Okay, what else we got here? I'm probably gonna wrap up the stream soon. I'm actually going, going already a little bit past what I was originally planning to go past, but it's cool. I'm having fun. HBO's got a lot of Godzilla Cinemax. Cool. That's good. Oh yeah, I missed a lot of comments. I need to catch up. Yeah, I saw the it's a puppy reissue Spider-Man, but it's a bootleg from China. But yeah, I tried to get one of the actual originals, and they are very expensive, and I've only seen them pop up twice, and they are gone instantly. The big puppy Spider-Mans. Was there a time when you collected toys only loose or like only in box? I prefer loose toys. I do, but I do like when they have really colorful presentations. Like that's why I like the Yutaka stuff. Like here's I have one here on my desk. This is a Yutaka. This is the gaping naked crotch Goku, but I just love the colorful boxes there. I've got some more Yutaka over here, like these little grip toy boxes. Like see all these colorful. These are all Yutaka box sets because they have like vinyl figures. They have Keshi. You know, they're all cool. The box art's so fun. Got a bunch of the Gamera ones. There's more of the Yutaka stuff. And the reason I collected all of these Dragon Ball ones in the box, I have all these loose too, but these were the very first Japanese toys I ever had. I found this Goku, Super Saiyan Goku, in this box at a kiosk in Kentucky when I was in high school, and I thought this was the coolest thing ever. So when I moved here, that like my goal was to track down all of the original Japanese boxes for the 1991, 1992 Super Battle Collection toys, and unfortunately, they've been hanging here for years. There was a period where I didn't have the window properly covered, so a lot of these have kind of faded. Not all of them, but I also have the rare 3-pack down here, which is protected with UV protection, and he hasn't faded. But yeah, some of these other box sets, if they're colorful, I go for the boxes. Otherwise, I prefer stuff loose. There was a period though where I had a lot of blister carded American toys and stuff. I still actually have. Here's my carded Jurassic Park collection. But if you notice carefully, these are the Japanese boxes. See, all the names are written in Japanese below. Dinis Neduri. All the way over here. All the dinosaurs too, Japanese versions. And I think my young T-Rex down there is Japanese. Ghost in the Shell, standalone complex, promotional poster. Oh yeah, and then I've got some of the X-Men up here. I love the X-Men toy packages, but I've been trying to upgrade these to the Japanese packages. But if you get to Wolverine, you'll see that they switch over to the Japanese packages. So yeah, it's just I'm not like actively trying to find those all the time, but when I find them, I'm like, oh cool, I can upgrade this one to the Japanese version. I like finding Japanese versions of the American stuff in the package, but that's about all I really care about, unless it's very colorful. If that answers your question. Sorry about the Keshi ogling. Yeah, Keshi's is one of my favorite things, and I'm not like there's so many different lines of Keshi. If you want to know more about all the different Keshi lines, follow Eric Nilla on Instagram. He's the human Keshi encyclopedia for the West. But luckily, I'm friends with the guy that runs the Mandarake Keshi shop, Microcan, um, Miyakoshi-san. So I can often ask him questions about Keshi. He knows everything. He's the guy that publishes the Keshi encyclopedia books, Kompu Rex. Yeah, the Devilman soft beers are pricey. Jet Jaguar too. I don't get a lot of the Devilman soft but I do get the Devilman figures in occasionally for sale. Ah, someone asked me if I ever bought back that die-cast Akira bike. How did you know that I sold that? Did I talk about it in another stream? Let me show you. Yeah, where is it at? I have such a mess to clean up afterwards from taking things down. But yes, I did. I did finally go back and rebuy this. If you guys aren't familiar, I actually shot a video for this. And I never published it because I never did the voice narration, and I wasn't too happy with it. But this is the very first Akira figure produced from 1988, 89, 1988, and it's die cast Kaneda's bike with a little kind of Keshi Kaneda on it. Um, and the original one that I had, I was an idiot and I took all the decals. So it comes with all the decals like he has in the movie. I took all them off and applied them, and they just don't look good on this little tiny bike. They kind of look like they're about to peel off. But here you got the little Kaneda in there. And oh, his little ID card fell on the floor. Got Kaneda's little driver's license. But yeah, here's the little 1988 Kaneda bike. I have found these in the wild a couple times loose. Like these are not common, but the 2 times I found it loose, this was always broken or missing. But it didn't have Kaneda, or if it had Kaneda, that was missing and broken. Or yeah, but these are pretty tough to get now complete. But yeah, when I sold my original, I think I mainly sold it because I was kind of bummed that I put the stickers on. It just didn't look as good as I'd hoped. But I was glad to get it back, and now he safely sits protected in his styrofoam prison until I can figure out a better way to display him, which is another reason why I'm downsizing things because I just don't have enough room to display everything, you know? All right, let's safely put him back in the box. Should I just go ahead and finish that video I shot? Just dub it with just some goofy talking over top of it. That might be fun. Maybe make it a Patreon only thing. Man, every time I like scroll down, the chat just flies down, and then I miss a bunch of stuff. You mentioned that Goto-san's eyes, yeah, girl eyes are a little off. Yeah, he was painting a lot of the Goto-san was painting a lot of the Maru-san Marugacha too, and they all look great. But they look so much better if he just didn't paint the eyes. So many of those are ruined because the eyes are just like just black, and they're always off. If you just didn't paint the eyes on those little figures, they would look perfect. So a lot of times I've gotten them, I've just kind of scraped the paint off if they're, if it's easy to do that. Typically, though, when I get the Marugacha, I prefer the blanks. I often just keep the blanks. I have every version of Godzilla in different colors in the blanks. But the Marugacha are harder to get now. They don't do as many as they used to. They don't do as many pop-ups as they used to. Why is it so hard to find Misato toys in Japan? Yeah, it's because Jean-Luc bought them all. Actually, I have some Misato, I think, in tomorrow's sale. They don't make as many Misato toys. They make a lot of Rei and Asuka. There are quite a few. I mean, I still do see a lot of Misato. It's just not as much as Rei and Asuka or the Ava units. Echo Cortez recently went to Thailand. The bootleg Softies there is very close to the original. Ah, cool. See, I don't mind the bootleg stuff as much. I like bootleg stuff. I do. I mean, if you're trying to play someone and convince them that it's real, then that's not cool. But I know the Pachi Kaiju. I mean, Marusan is pretty much making only their own original kaiju now, some of which are Pachi bootleg, uh, but not all of them are. A lot of them are just original. But yeah, the Pachi, like I said, I've got the Pachi Poppy Spider-Man, and it's even got everything's pretty much accurate, even the logo and stuff on it. But obviously, it's so new and clean. Anyone that buys that thinking it's a vintage is either a newbie or you know got gypped. But if you see it in person, you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely not vintage, not from the 70s. Way too clean. And that goes back to the reissue. Like years ago when I was in some Star Wars forums. The Star Wars collectors go crazy about reissues and repro weapons and things. So I've never been that way. I've always been like, if you're missing something and if you can reproduce it and complete it and have fun with it, I think that's fine. But if you're trying to sell it to someone as an original, that's where you get into the problems. But I get it. I thank you for stopping by. Uh, Andrew, you're probably already gone. OG said the favorite bootleg Godzilla is the Imperial Godzilla, but aren't those licensed? I actually yesterday when I was walking in my neighborhood countryside thrifting area, they had two Imperial Godzillas. They had the really giant one for like 6,000 yen. That's like $40. I was very tempted to grab it, but I had no space for it. And yeah, those are cool too. Ah, okay, gotcha. That's cool. You bought a few used ones, huh? Of the Kaneda bike. Allison, thank you for enjoying. Thank you for enjoying. I'm glad you've enjoying the hangout session I have too. I probably need to wrap this up soon because my throat is not doing great. But I am feeling better today, so talking definitely helps. But yeah, if I talk too much, my voice starts to just give out. I definitely would do more of these, less of the live sales. Just hanging out is fun. I didn't really preview a ton of stuff that I have for tomorrow's sale, but like I said, I will have a bunch of. I have 2 boxes full of really cool stuff. I did preview some of it earlier in the stream if you missed it, but I mean that was literally just the scraping the top. I showed like 3 or 4 things. I've got literally like I don't know 60 or 70 toys here that I'm going to be selling tomorrow. So if and it's a little bit of everything. Um, I've got uh, Ultra Kaiju, Gamera, Godzilla, Kinnikuman Man stuff, Tetsujin, Astro Boy, Gamera, Zerum. I've got a few different art books, some Gachapon, other kaiju, just a lot of stuff. So stay tuned tomorrow. If you're a Patreon member, if you're not, check the link in the description. And you can kind of get even if you're not a member, you can kind of go there and you can kind of see how things work. You can also sign up for a free membership. That way you get notifications when things do drop. And if you decide to change your mind and join for a month, it's only $4 a month if you want to join the basic plan. Or if you want to be cool, you can be the VIP member. And I'm actually thinking about if you're a VIP member and you see something that I show in the preview on these live streams, you can DM me. And if you're a VIP member, I will let you have it before I even put it in the next sale. So if that's something you're interested in, upgrade to VIP and you can get first dibs on pretty much anything. Uh, yeah. Okay, we got a Blue Planet asks Ghost in the Shell 1995 animated movie or Akira 1998. Which would I choose? I would say I rewatch Ghost in the Shell more because of I just love the vibes. I also listen to the soundtrack a lot. Akira though, I would have to say is the better film. It's just got more going on. But I don't rewatch it a lot. But when I watch it, you know, it's always an experience. I showed my son the first half of it during our last trip to the U.S. and blew his mind. I don't think he was ready for the last half, so I was like, "I'll show you the last half later, and we'll watch the whole movie all the way through." But yeah, I think he's been asking to watch it recently, so we're gonna be watching that. I did show him Ghost in the Shell though, even though it's got a little violence and boobies. Uh, he was fine with that, but Akira, um, it gets a little more intense, so I wanted to wait a little bit, but I think he's ready now. Like I said, he's midway through junior high, so okay, how have the recent manga speculators affected the local shops and manga? Since I don't deal a lot with manga, I'm sure Japan Book Hunters, Sean would know a lot more about that. But I am aware of Jake Paul uh, just buying graded Shonen Jump and causing the market to explode. The shop that carries that kind of stuff that I used to frequent, that I still do occasionally. I remember you could find like first edition Dragon Ball originals for like 3,000 yen. That's like $20. Now, no way. They're all 10 times or more. The later issues are a bit easier, but yeah, I have had some for sale here. I've had some for sale in the past, recent past. But yeah, I don't typically do the manga stuff. But yeah, it's the same thing with the Sotheby. Once this That's another reason I don't like the auctions, because in Japan the yen is so weak, and when you put things on the open market in the auctions, people are using things like Bai and those third party services. Which, I mean, nothing against the people if they've got the money, but it ends up these collectors that are new collectors that have just tons of disposable income, a lot of the times are, trust fund babies that just have so much money, but they don't have much to do, so they just collect stuff. Um, and they're all usually very nice people, but they drive up the prices so much, especially in these auctions. And in the yen value, just is impossible for Japanese collectors to even touch them. So a lot of the really good stuff is not even here anymore. It's all, unless it's been kept by the Japanese collectors that just never sold anything off, a lot of that stuff's already been shipped overseas. So a lot of it's in US, Mexico, Europe, places like that now. So, but you know, it's still there. People are still enjoying it, so that's all that really matters. But yeah, it unfortunately it just makes it a lot more hard and expensive for people to get that stuff, especially the vintage stuff. All right, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. Uh, and I actually was almost about to pick up a Robot Detective K figure the other day, and I put it back and forgot to go get it. Yeah. And any cool items from that '70s show? You mean with Ashton Kutcher? I'm just joking. All right, guys, I'm gonna call it a day today. It was really fun hanging out with you guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know if you guys enjoyed this on Patreon. Let me know in the comments, and if you'd like me to do this and then do the sales all pre-recorded, or if you'd like me to still do the um, you know usual Sunday live stream sales. But I think I'll be doing um, more like this, just kind of hangouts, and I'll probably do more of a theme and topic next time. Today was kind of just open, uh, you know, health discussion, and then just questions from you guys. But yeah, do a more open format with maybe some themes to them, and then still showcase some items that I have for sale, and then do the main sales pre-recorded only on Patreon, so that you have to be a member to see those. But yeah, guys, I'm going to clean up this mess and head to bed. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate your guys' support, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye bye.